2022 Endurance eRacing World Championship brought to you in partnership with Viper Gaming by Patriots, Aztec Sim Sports, Global Flix, Motorvision.tv, Sten Goldman, ESTV, and Film Vault Limited.
Just think about the fun things you do online. Diving into movies you love. Shopping. Enjoying free Wi-Fi with your morning coffee. Wait, who's that guy? Meet the Digital Snooper. It can be your internet service provider peeking at what you do online, or a cyber criminal on a mission to snitch your credit card info, or a hacker at the next table trying to steal your sensitive data. Uh-oh. But don't worry. NordVPN keeps all these snoopers away. It makes your internet activity private, protects you from accessing dangerous websites, and lets you enjoy your favorite content securely, even while away from home. The best part? It's just a click. Yep, internet security is that easy.
You can get NordVPN today at a 60% discount by visiting gtr24h.org/VPN. Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to round 4 of the EEWC here at GTR 24H. We are 25% of the way through this 12-hour race. 3 hours down, 9 to go. And Alizia Neto now leading the way in the GT3s when Jacob Kowalski pitted the 404 Glam Racing Audi. Jacob's still in command of the 404 car. He's back out on circuit. Is Neto going to be coming in this time? Let's have a look. No, he is continuing along his merry way. There's Carl Liekegaard in the 777 Gadget Husik car. He is unfortunately a lap behind the leading Audi. Sadly not involved in that particular battle, but he's keeping pace with him, in fairness. Oh, that's getting a bit lively. My goodness me, Michael Francesconi recently taken over the 4th place from number 53 car. My word, that is all getting very, very close and up close and personal. And absolutely none of that is for position. The two Astons are trying to unlap themselves from the Porsche here. So Oh, other way round, beg your pardon. The ID Simsport car is the one that's technically out of position, as he's a lap down from both of them and trying to unlap himself from. The MCM car, which is Ivan Aguado, is actually third and trying to, well, the Porsche's trying to unlap himself from the MCM car, and the ID Simsport car is trying to unlap himself from both of them. So that's getting, they're all GTE cars, all third, fourth and fifth, but that's not the order they're on the road in. So Francesconi is fourth. Marcus Steyer has now taken over the ID Simsport car. That's in fifth and a lap behind. And Ivan Aguado, who's at the back of this particular train, is actually leading the three of them in third. So a bit uncomfortable for the three of them, but they do manage to survive. The two Astons now behind the Porsche as Michael Francesconi continues along his merry way. Highlights from the last hour in the top left-hand corner. And blimey, there's been quite a few things that we've enjoyed again in the last few hours. But the GTE lead now very much in the hands of the DIS team. Wojtek Polesny, the qualifying ace for Deuces, is now in charge of the 74 car. So he's now in second. He's got 82 seconds to close in because the 74 car's just come in. As there's the unfortunate spin we saw from Alex Zescher that he wished we hadn't seen it, and unfortunately we've shown it again. Sorry, Alex. So DIS leading the way in GTEs, but with Wojtek Polesny now in the car, his pace was unrivaled during qualifying. But DIS still the only GT car in the 29s, so we'll see if Polesny can close in on that. In LMPs, Darius Andre leads the way for Deuces Motorsport by about 20 seconds over Tom Oldermenger in the burst car, with Nakib Aslan picking up the penalties that's dropped into the tail end of the LMPs, and Jesper Pedersen is leading the DPI pair at the top of the tree for burst. We've got a couple of more messages to go through, I think. It's a warning for the 585. That's the Azatec car. That's the Azatec Audi that has now earned themselves a warning for corner 10 outside the white line several times. Oh dear. So it would seem that Nakib Aslan is not the only one to earn the ire of the stewards, as now the 585 has been warned. So after that, it's a drive-through. After that, it's a 10-second stop-go, and then a 30-second stop-go. Then every penalty thereafter will be a 60-second stop-go if they keep on misbehaving themselves. You would have thought they'd have learned by then, but when you're pushing as hard as these guys will be doing so, particularly when you've been going for 12 hours, tiredness is certainly setting in, etc., etc. Fatigue is a difficult thing to fight at the best of times. As we look down on Alessio Neto, who has not come into the pits. We did see Jakub Kowalski pit earlier on from when the three GT3s were together. I think we can actually see that in the picture-in-picture. Yes, we can. That's when Glam Racing was still right there, arguing for the GT3 lead as the GTE lead was then being contested. That was shortly before we were due to throw the commercial break. But Neto can't be too far behind for pitting. Let's see, does he do so this time? Doesn't look like he wants to. And indeed he doesn't. As you've got... there was that burst coming past. Yes, it was Jesper Pedersen, the DPI car, just coming past. So Nakib Aslan is pressing on again. So despite the fact that he's had several penalties, he's still the quickest LMP2 car by a bit of a distance. 0.6 of a second quicker than Darius Andre, and he's 8 seconds off the back of Tom Oldermenger in the burst car. So Tom had a bit of a rough lap last time around, a 123.113. There's the GTE odd situation. I won't say it's a battle because none of them were actually battling for position. Oh no, Neto's gone off the road. That's going to cost him the time he would have gained on trying to overcut the Glam Racing 404. So just a small mistake wandering a bit too wide, and that's allowed Carl Liekegard to get back into his tyre tracks. But as we've said, Carl Liekegard is a lap down from Alicia Neto at the moment. But the slipstream will be certainly doing the Corvette a load of good. The dust into the face won't be doing him any good whatsoever. We'll see if Marcus Steyer is able to improve the fortunes of the... Marcus Steyer is ID Synsport. I beg your pardon. We'll see if Carl Liekegard is able to improve the fortune of the 777 cars. We look at the DIS car, the Porsche. They need to be coming into the pits soon. We think they need to come into the pits soon, as various other GTEs have done. So, namely the Deuces car behind them with a 30.5. The DIS Porsche was a 31.3. So they could do probably coming in. So they are losing nearly a full second a lap over the Deuces car, with Wojciech Polesny pressing on now. So I would imagine the DIS car will want to be coming in fairly soon to get rid of those tyres. As we look at GT3 leader Alicia Neto just getting back into his rhythm, and Liekegard has made a mistake, has suddenly fallen off the back of the leading Audi. There he is, right behind. That's not the... I was wondering if that was the 404, but it isn't the 404 right behind him. Jacob Kowalski is back out on track in the second place Audi. And then you can see the DIS leading GTE has caught the back of the NCM Motorsport car, the number 27, Ivan Aguado, is still in command of that Aston. Again, keeping an eye on Alicia Neto. He hasn't given an indication to his pit crew that he's coming in. And that will be why, because he continues along his merry way. What does DIS do? Again, no indication of pit stop for the Porsche, and continuing along his merry way. So the pit stops now, or the pit strategy is now very, very diverse between each particular category. By this stage in the race, it's you're not seeing each class coming in en masse. Everybody's had long enough to kind of exercise their own strategy, but we keep finding every half an hour, particularly, the groups of cars battling for position, because it kind of happens to clash with our commercial breaks. But either way, our GT pair, or GT leaders, just kind of going through the motions, as Carl Liekegard really has fallen off the back now of Alicia Neto in the GT3 category, and the DIS car is losing time quite badly to the Deuces car. So surely they need to be coming in soon, either for a driver change or for tyres at least in that Porsche. I'm just looking at the delta, and it's dropping by at least a second. It was half a second last time around, and as we saw, the DIS car had to get past the MCM car. Oh, has there been a problem? Oh, it's a yellow flag for 404. It was Jacob Kowalski. That was early in the lap, so he's had an error somewhere down by the center S's, I think. He's gotten going fairly quickly again, but that would have cost him crucial time following his pit stop. It was quite a bad one, I'm being told. So we'll see if we're able to get a replay of that as quickly as we can. But not ideal for Jacob Kowalski. That won't please the boss. But like the boss said, at least they're guaranteed third. Now, this is what happened. Oh, the tail's getting loose on the way into the center S's, yeah, and then just culminated. Oh! Wow, how close was that? It didn't look like you hit it because the trajectory of the car didn't just dramatically change, but that was close. But no such trouble for Alicia Neto. Now with no Corvette in his rearview mirror, not that he needed to defend from it. That's the Glam car with the Deuces car, so that's second GTE and second GT3 together. Wojciech Polesny jumping out from the back of the Audi and carrying on his merry way. So that wasn't what agitated the Audi, because it's a different lap. So Wojciech Polesny continuing his march. Now, did that disrupt his lap time too much? A 30.7. He was a couple of tenths quicker than the Porsche, but I think that's because the Porsche's been quicker more than the Aston was slower. So DIS are maintaining a decent pace, so this will be why they probably haven't come in any earlier. 31.0 as they've just come across the line. I mean, there's still, you know, 3/4 of a lap difference as now the DIS car comes past Carl Ikegaard and the Gadget Husik car. A spit of flame from the Corvette on the way down towards the Desida de Largo. And a face full of dust again, was Tirata. He's been fairly used to that as Carl Ikegaard. He's had someone kicking dust in his face for quite a while. Something has just made me chuckle. I've just seen Cameron Rogers' camera, and he's got a background going on right behind him. It confused me for a second because he was reaching forwards. It looked like he was actually in a pit lane somewhere. You know when you count something out of the corner of your eye and your brain's just not quite managed to put the right pieces together. It just caught me out slightly because Cameron's not in the car, so it caught me out. He's actually his background is the burst car, so it looks great. It just caught me out very slightly. So nice job there, Cameron. DIS then, continuing the merry way. Is that Alessio in? No, I thought that was Alessio Neto coming in there. But no, he's opting to carry on. His pit strategy very, very different now to Glam Racing. That gap is about 75-ish seconds. No, a bit more than that actually, because there's an MCM car in the way. So there's about 82 seconds between Kowalski and Neto. So if Alessio were to come in, he probably would retain the GT3 lead upon exiting the pit lane. Breaking about our GTEs, still into the high 130s for Wojciech Polesny. 31.4 for the DIS Porsche last time around. I'm sure I don't really need to look at our DPIs because the DPIs have all three LMP2s in between them. Denis Yashenko now in charge of the 17 Unison car. Still Jesper Pedersen piloting the number 18. As we look at Alessio Neto with the DIS Porsche on his tail. Two different classes, two different leaders. So the Audi's not going to keep the Porsche behind him for too long. Oh, big button, that's not the DIS car. Completely wrong Porsche. That is the Mustaro Pescara car. Michael Francesconi in that one. There's the DIS Porsche. He wasn't too far behind. Is this now Neto coming in? Yes, it is. Alessio Neto in the pit lane for the 585 Aztec Sim Sports car. Is he finally going to hand that car? Oh, no, hang on. He wasn't in it at the start. What am I saying? That's already changed hands. So, no, he's not going to change. He's not probably going to change driver in that car, but it is now a pit stop for him. Where can Kowalski? Bear in mind, he had that part spin. And we don't think he hit the wall. It looked like he was just, but not quite there. Now coming down to Peronino, then up towards Biga de Pato. I think that Neto is going to come out in the lead because it was around 82 seconds-ish between the two, so nearly I say minute and a half. That's a lap in these things. It wasn't quite that far, but it was fairly close. Two being a lap between the two Audis. And there goes Neto. Yep, he's going to retain the lead then. But Kowalski will see the Aztec car as he now comes over the line. Now down to the pit lane exit, which bypasses turn one, and out in front of the 404 car comes Alessio Neto. So it was indeed that one. So it won't be a huge amount. There they are, look. So it's not going to be massive, but Neto indeed, and he was basically down to that spin, or that half spin that Kowalski had. That lost him more than that much time. So the 404 would have been in the lead were it not for that mistake. Easy for me to say, and that again, that's not Astronaut, you should have done better, because it's so easy to spin these cars in the first place that I certainly can't do what these guys are doing. So again, no disrespect meant, but that unfortunately was the mistake that has handed the GT3 lead back over to Azatec for now. And again, we still have, what have we got, 8.5 hours just over to go, so plenty of time for things to change and for the whole strategy to play out, don't forget. So plenty to go on in between the checkered flag and now, but it does seem that Neto has got slight pace advantage over Kowalski at the moment. We will see if that continues to be the case now the pit stop has taken effect. That is around about 2 seconds between the two Audis now, and Kowalski would have lost more than that in that one moment. What have we got here? Oh, this is in how close was he to the wall? That's a very brown trouser moment going on. Oh, you are talking about pixels of gap there. My goodness me, that's barely the width of a hand. So it's converted. He didn't hit the wall, but he could have reached his hand out and given the wall a high five. Struth, that was incredibly close. Tell you another close battle we've got is our LMP2s. Nakib Aslan is within 2 seconds of Tom Aldermanger. And yet again, that same 9 axle car has been blindingly quick. Tom does seem to be a bit off the pace at 23.0 last round. There you go. Look at that. That is unreal. And no, he didn't go backwards. I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to get a few frames forward. Look at that! Oh! Wow! Great as a showpiece, as a Brazilian version of the Goodwood Festival, but not ideal for an endurance race. Can we have a look at these production at car 94 and 21, our LMP2 second and third? Very good. There you go. Less than a second, or was until that little moment there from Aslan. So Tom Aldermanger has been, every time I've looked at his lap time, it's been a bit off. Now, again, he's probably caught by traffic or what have you, but he doesn't seem to be quite as much on the pace as we've seen before. 22.1 that time around, as it was indeed for Aslan, but we did see that bit of a loose moment from the tail end of the 10.9 axle car just as we cut to them. So have we got another battle? Yeah, we do. We have another battle looming within the next 5 minutes of a commercial break. Of course we do. And Tom Aldermanger is sporting the dual glasses look again, as he was doing from qualifying last night. We do, when we get the opportunity of it, production, we need to have a look at Matthias Harvig's camera again. As not only is his glasses are upside down, but he's changed his hat again. Well, it's the same hat, but he's changed the poster on top of it. So we'll have a look at Matthias Harvig's hat again. But Tom Aldermanger is going to be very, very popular with Nakib Aslan soon, as there's less than 1.5 seconds. So that gap did increase just as we cut to the 7.9 axle car. But yeah, when you can, production, bring up Matthias Harvig's camera, because yeah, he's giving me a thumbs up there, so he's listening into us, and he's changed the poster on the hat there. So I had noticed Matthias. We just needed a moment to bring that one into context. So much appreciated, sir. There it is, GTR 24.8 Sao Paulo. Love it. And upside down glasses completes the look perfectly well. Oh, Aslan getting quickly coming down through the center S's. And again, Nakib Aslan's face has not changed. His pace has been unbelievable. There's the 404 Audi now becoming popular. Oy, that's a bit unfortunate, a bit of a hairy moment there for Kowalski. Is not only did he get on the grass, but he's then got two screaming LMP2s coming past him. Now Aslan starting to close in again on Aldermanger. Oh wow, close between the two LMP2s. So Burst now has got to fend off the advances of 79 Axel, and Burst are 30 seconds behind Juices now, so that gap that Darius Andre has built up is pretty big now. There's the Azatec Audi that the LMP2 contestants are now catching. Oh, I think the Azatec car just turned in. I think Alessio may not have realised the LMPs were quite there. Is this an opportunity for Nakib Aslan to come past? Tom may not fight it too much, as we're still well before halfway. Oh, whoa, a late lunge there from Nakib Aslan. But Tom is battling it. He's not just going to let the 79 Axel car have it. But as Nakib Aslan tries to cut back underneath Tom Oldermenger, with the Juices Aston directly ahead of them. We're seeing boxing in again. That was brilliantly done by Tom Oldermenger there. There's Nakib Aslan. The top of those two images you can see is the Juices car. Walter Polesny gets a bit put off by the two LMPs. When I'm laughing there, I mean no disrespect at all. I'm really appreciating the audacity of the move, as Tom Oldermenger perfectly positioned his car to use Walter Polesny's Aston Martin to box in Nakib Aslan, and Nakib knew he had nowhere to go, so had to bow out of it to prevent a very nasty mess for the pair of them off into the dust. But on it goes Nakib Aslan, and still, in fairness, it's still the only one car we've lost. I've just realised. So I was just thinking if we'd lost anyone else. No, it's still only the 717 is the only car off into the sidelines. Now, what can Aslan do here? Is he going to try and push into turn one again? Into the slipstream? Not this time. He opts not to go for the move. Maybe it's odd that they've had the front lights on for a while. Maybe it gives them a horsepower or two. But I thought using electrical energy like that would have drained power from the car, but never mind. Maybe I'm overthinking that. Proceeded to Largo. No, he thought about it, but opted not to go for it. He's going to stay behind Oldermenger for now. And Darius Andre in the pits. So now this is a battle for the LMP2 lead. How quickly things change. The Juices car was 30 odd seconds ahead of these guys, but is now pitted. So, like the rest of the classes, the LMP2 pit stop strategies are very, very diverse. There is the Juices car. So there's now Robert Pound back in the car. Pound or Pawn, I'm not entirely certain how it's pronounced, as Aslan gets very squiggly. I've always said it's Robert Pound, but I'm sure he's heard 101 variations. Oh, no, it could be. Yes, that's one I hadn't thought of. He's probably heard 101 versions of his own name anyway, and probably by us Brits in the first place. Robert Pound, if he was French. Moving on. Now, Nakib Aslan still keeping Tom Oldermenger straight and true, coming down towards turn one once again. Still only half a second between the two. It was a 21.4 from the burst car this time around. Now I'm keeping an eye on the time. We're near the bottom of the next hour. And again, we have a battle raging on. And that 79 Axel car, I've said it several times, it's so loose. It's particularly loose when it's chasing someone. So this again could be a reason why Aslan's not been able to get past Tom Oldermenger this time. And again, we don't know how long those tyres have been on there. But with that car being that slidey, it's probably chewing its tyres to absolute death. And start face hasn't changed all race long. Oh, goodness me. Oh, look, he has moved. He's not a golem. Goodness me. Again, no disrespect, but the look of focus is intense. He must be really feeling it. He's been in the car since the start with, what, 3.5 hours in. He's got to be feeling pretty tired by now. I'd be long since dead if I'd tried to drive this long. I don't like driving that long in a road car, let alone in race conditions. Goodness me. It still remains behind Oldermenger. Completion of another lap. Oh, I speak too soon. Banzai's the inside of turn one, but can't get it done. Tom Oldermenger stays ahead of him in the LMP2 lead. Now Nakib Aslan on the outside line coming through the centre S's. That's going to force him to the outside line at Descida de Largo. Both LMPs side by side. foot equally pinned to the floor. Who's going to win out on this one? Nakib Aslan. No, touch between the two. Keep it under the wall. He does indeed. My word, that got so close. Just a tiny tap on the side of the burst car was enough to send the Z9 axle into a half spin. My goodness, I'm glad we caught that before we went to commercial break. And on that note, let's have a word from our commercial sponsors.
The 2022 Endurance eRacing World Championship brought to you in partnership with Viper Gaming by Patriots, Aztec Sim Sports, Global Flix, Motorvision.tv, Sten Goldman, ESTV, and Film Vault Limited.
For Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
Just think about the fun things you do online. Diving into movies you love. Shopping. Enjoying free Wi-Fi with your morning coffee. Wait, who's that guy? Meet the Digital Snooper. It can be your internet service provider peeking at what you do online, or a cyber criminal on a mission to snitch your credit card info, or a hacker at the next table trying to steal your sensitive data. Uh-oh. But don't worry. NordVPN keeps all these snoopers away. It makes your internet activity private, protects you from accessing dangerous websites, and lets you enjoy your favorite content securely, even while away from home. The best part? It's just a click. Yep, internet security is that easy.
You can get NordVPN today at a 60% discount by visiting gtr24h.org/VPN.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the EEWC round number 4 in the 12 Hours of Interlagos by GTR 24H. We look at Tom Oldemanger in the number 94 Bercy sports car. Now, Aslan has... yes, he has. Sorry. Nakib Aslan has handed the number 21 car over to Nabil Aslan. So I got caught out there because it was N Aslan that was sitting in the car. No, it's Nabil Aslan in the number 21 car. So that has changed hands. Nakib has finally handed the toys over that he's been in since the start. Has led the class from starting last in the field. Absolutely brilliant stuff. And there is the second Aslan. There is Nabil Aslan. in a cave, what it looks like there. Prefers to be in darkness. I can appreciate that. That's clearly not the UK. As you can see on my camera, it's pretty light here. Or he's got the best blackout curtains in the world. Oh, Indonesia, yes, of course it is. So yes, that would explain why it's dark. So yeah, great effort there. So let's see if the Aslan pair are as quick as each other, which again, Nakib did a brilliant effort there, setting the class best of 120.209. In fairness, the best laps between Burst and Juices are only 9 thousandths apart, 20.341 and 20.350, which in themselves is only a tenth and a half slower than the same 9 Asokar has done so far. So great effort, Nakib Aslan, in starting the Sem 9 Asokar. Great job there. Hello, Jacob Kowalski. We haven't seen you for a while. That's the Glam Racing 404. Was challenging Alessio Neto for the GT3 lead. He now finds himself about 15 seconds behind the 585 car. We did see that incredible spin that almost resulted in rearranging the 404 car, but by mere pixel difference managed to avoid hitting the wall. So did it cost him about 15 seconds? Probably. It would have cost him certainly most of that. Pit stop time difference, whatever the cause is, he now finds himself about 15 seconds behind the class leader, but he finds himself 5 seconds behind the MCM Motorsport Aston of Ivan Aguado, the number 27 GTE car. So you could close in with Ivan and have a bit of a battle there. But either way, the 777 car, the Gadget Husa car, now in the hands of Matthias Harvig, who now has no hat. He's decided not to race with the hat on, fair enough. He's given us enough entertainment with the various decorations of headwear. So Matthias Harvig now has the 777 Gadget Husa car. In fact, let's have a bit of a rundown on how our classes are doing at this point. There's... I've caught production slightly unaware there because I hadn't said that's what we were going to do. I've caught him at an awkward moment. I've caught him in the middle of doing one thing and I've just told him to do something else. How discourteous of me. Here we go then. So DPIs, let's have a look at how they are doing. Well, not a lot to talk about there, but other than David Mrocek has taken over the number 18 car. So Jasper Pedersen has stepped out and David Mrocek is now in. And still with the fastest lap of the race, 1:19.361 on their time chart. Whereas Denis Yashenko in the number 17 car, 1:19.937, their team best, but does find himself some distance behind, at least a lap down from the DPI lead. In LMP2, well, this has changed hands numerous times, or the lead of this class has numerous times, by far the closest class on the field at the moment. Robert Pound in charge on the number 15 Juices car with the 1:23.50 as the team best so far. Then about 37-ish seconds back is Tom Aldermenger in the Burst Esports number 94, 1:23.41 as mentioned, their team best. And Nabil Aslan in the Sem 9 Axel car has been the quickest of the three LMP guys, but sadly has had a few penalties to contend with. Although Denis Yashenko and Nabil Aslan are getting very close to the tail end of Tom Aldermenger, so we'll keep an eye on that when we finish the review. Now our GTEs, DIS Sim Racing Lab currently have the top spot there, and that's changed hands quite a few times as well, the lead of class. Still the only car in the 129s as far as best lap is concerned. The last one was a 1:30.3, so that DIS Sim Racing Porsche is going great guns at the moment. Second is Juices in the 74 car, Wojciech Polesny in charge of that, with Ivan Aguado in third in the MCM car. And our GT3s, Alessio Neto currently leads the way in the 585 Azatec car, Jacob Kowalski in the 404 Glam Racing, 404 Audi, and a lap down from them is the 777 Gadget Husa Corvette in the hands of Matthias Harvig. All right, let's check in then with Tom Aldermenger and his impending company. There's Nabil Aslan, who's the trailing car of the three that I've been mentioning. So he's a couple of seconds off the back of Denis Yashenko. Now they're two different classes, but directly ahead of the Unison number 17 is Tom Aldermenger. So again, it's a 1-2-3. We had this before with two LMP cars with a DPI in the middle. And again, Denis Zechenko finds himself in the midst of two LMP cars having an argument. So whilst it's going to take a few laps for that to kind of close in and become a proper battle, you can absolutely bet that it will. We're looking forward to how that comes down. There's Ivan Aguado, the MCM Motorsport Aston Martin. Third in the GTEs. He's about 6 seconds behind the GT3 leader of Alessio Neto, but unfortunately he's some distance behind Wojciech Polesny in the second place GTE car. There's your crew for MCM Motorsports. 4-driver team that are registered to take part in that car. We saw Angel Benegas at the beginning of the race. He was the main qualifier of this particular car, along with Ivan Aguado. I think did some laps in it as well. I'm just going to look up something here. Okay. So I was just looking at what the time was in Indonesia. Noticing how dark it was. It's about 11:15 at night. I'm in Jakarta, Indonesia. Again, I don't know how many they do have different time zones, so it could be nearly midnight over there, and we've still got 8 hours of this race to go. There's Darren Mocek in the burst car, and that's the lineup for the number 18. And such a strong. It's not just on paper that's a strong team, considering how much they are dominating the DPI Championship. Have won all 3 rounds that we've had so far. The only point they haven't scored is the pole point for Monza. That didn't go to burst. That's the only point they didn't get, and they could very easily secure the championship. Well, here after this point, there'd only be 50 points left on the board. And they are, 33 points ahead of Unison? Could they seed it now? It depends where. Well, Unison can only finish second. So Unison are guaranteed to get the 18. So no, they can't quite do it. Yes, they can. So Burst could well take the DPI Championship with 2 races still left. Such has been the domination of the series as Nabil Aslan dances around one of the GTEs. I think that was the MCM car. No, it wasn't the MCM car because that's only just gone over the line. Unfortunately, I didn't spot which car that they'd just gone past. Where's Nabil Aslan? It would be... That was probably Marcus Steyer in the ID Senswell car that he's just gone past. Now we're riding on board with the 7-9 Axel car, who's less than 2 seconds now off the back of Denis Zechenko. Because what we're really looking for is Tom Oldenanger, which is ahead of the Unison number 17. So 21.8 for Tom, a 23.3 for Denis, and a 22.1 for Nabil. So Tom is stretching his legs a little bit from the Unison car. But Nabil could well get into a bit of an argument with Denis Zechenko for what would be a track position rather than a class position. It would be 4th on track, but it wouldn't gain them a class in LMP2. And he'd be perfectly entitled to make the move, even though it's not the same class. He would be absolutely allowed to make the move as long as he doesn't shove him off the road. But that's general racing etiquette. That's nothing to do with the different classes. A slower class, try that sentence again. A slower class can absolutely overtake a faster one if the slower class has proven to be quicker than the driver in the faster class car. So in this particular instance, if Nabil Aslan feels he's being held up by the likes of Denis Zechenko, he absolutely can make that on-track overtake, which would give Nabil Aslan 4th on the road. Where it becomes a little bit more tricky is if there were different laps involved, if one was unlapping himself from another, which again you can do. A slower car can unlap themselves from a faster one, and that is the darkness that Nabil Aslan finds himself in. This is absolutely determined. That's a true gamer face, isn't it? With complete darkness around and determination in the face, with the only light in the room being the monitor. We do have a bit of a technical hiccup going on here. There we go. Stay down, stay calm, production. It'll come good. So apologies there. Not sure quite what happened there, but we will move on nonetheless. That is David Mrocek. Is who we are looking at the moment in the DPI car. Blasting past, I think that's the Deuce's car. Yes, it is. That's Robert Pound, still leader of the LMP2s by about 37 seconds over Tom Aldermenger. And that's mainly pit stop difference that scores up. There is Nabil Aslan. Well, I thought that was Denis Ashenko he was going around the outside of, but no, not quite. So actually Nabil's falling off the back a little bit of Denis Ashenko, so, or did that lap, could well have been aided by traffic, as David Mrocek gives Robert Pound an absolute face full of dust. There's the DIS, Sim Racing Lab Porsche. So the DPI leader with the LMP leader, it's catching up to the GTE leader. It's a shame that Alessio Neto's not in that shot as well, and then we'd have all four leaders together. It can happen, it's just exceedingly rare to have all four class leaders together, unless it's like the very early part of the race. There's Darren Mrocek, just dancing his way past. I didn't quite see who that was. There's a Nabil Aslan. Oh, that's the guy he's just gone past. That was Michael Francesconi in the Nesto Pescara car. It looks like next up down the road is the 404 Glam Racing car, Jacob Kowalski. There's another one there as well. That'll be Denis Ashenko that's just ahead. So Nabil then got to settle into the rhythm. And just gain the car from brother Nakib. Nicely done between himself and the 404 Glam Racing car. That will affect his lap time a little bit. There's our GT3 leader, Alessio Neto. Just minding his own business, rather. So over the line he comes, and still leads the class by, well, he's got 3 seconds between himself and the next car down the road, which is Ivan Aguado in the MCM Motorsport GTE car. Oh, has there been someone in the pit? There's Denis Ashenko. The number 17 Unison car is in the pits. That's why suddenly Nabil Aslan finds himself ahead of him, as Alessio Neto carries on. He's got a lead of about 17 seconds over Jacob Kowalski now. Oh, that's close. And that's Mateus Harvey. Apologies there. There's Alessio continuing on his merry way. As you can see in the tower actually what the gap is. About, just shy of 17 seconds. Or around 17 seconds, I should say. And in between the two is Ivan Aguado, who's a couple of seconds behind Alessio. There is Ivan Aguado. So again, Aguado could well make the move. He would, again, there would be an on-track position as well as being a faster class, but equally Alessio could well make it, make it difficult for him. Oh, here comes a burst. Which car is that? No, it's not burst. That's 79 Axel. That's Nabil Aslan just coming over the line. Oi! Oh, crikey! I thought the 79 Axel car was going to bury itself in the Audi then. He was barreling towards the apex of turn 1 rather quickly there. It's no incident there. They managed to get past each other without any drama. Nicely done. Mrocek and Robert Pound are fairly close together, but they're, of course, nowhere near on the same lap, the DPI and LMP2 leaders. And everyone is fairly now spaced apart. As we are 10 minutes from the top of the hour, we might actually get to an advert break without a battle ensuing. I've said it now. I wait to be proven wrong. There's Nabil Aslan again. Ivan Aguado is slowly getting closer to the back of Alessio Neto. And that's a battle for on-track position more than anything else. Aslan has, now that Denis Ashenko pitted in front of him, he's got just under 11 seconds to try and close in to start to challenge Tom Aldermenger in the burst esports number 94. for class position, but how quickly the LMP class position changes, that could quite easily happen. Though the Bill's a little bit off the pace at the moment, so needs to find a few more tenths to start to get onto pace with Oldermega and Robert Pound ahead of him. Far easier for me to say than is to action. There's Michael Francesconi wanting to get past the Ram Racing at 404. Again, not on the same lap. But Francesconi is perfectly entitled to unlap himself from Kowalski if he was able to do so. The basic ruling is you can unlap yourself as long as you do not impede the car from which you've unlapped yourself from. As Michael Pedersen has caused an incident or caused a yellow flag in Sector 1. That's somewhere around the center S's where that's happened. That's quickly cleared away, so probably a bit of a wide moment, maybe a half spin, and they've gotten the ID Simsport Aston back underway again. And there we go, Francesconi has gotten ahead of the Audi now. It's absolutely fine as long as you do not impede the car you've unlapped yourself from. You are perfectly allowed to do that. The problem would be if you unlapped yourself and then you ended up racing the person that's trying to lap you again. That's where difficulties start to arise. But the GTE car should be, faster enough than the GT3 Audi to be able to pull away. But it's not always the case. Sometimes some of the GTE cars struggle to match the pace of the GT3s. Sometimes the LMP2s are on pace with the DPIs, as we've said before. Particularly a track like this, where the raw horsepower difference of the DPI to the LMP and the GTE to GT3, which isn't huge to begin with, in fairness, is nullified because of the nature of the circuit. There's Matthias Harvick in picture-in-picture and in car, minus hat this time, in the Gadget Huset Corvette. He's unfortunately a lap behind his fellow classmates, but carrying on nonetheless. Guaranteed a podium if the Corvette can come home. What was a glorious colour scheme on that? I mentioned before, it reminds me very much of the BIR Arrows colour scheme that was blue on one side and white or something like that on the other. I can't remember exactly, but it had a two-tone livery. I'm sure they got told off for doing that. Not Gadget who's it, they're perfectly allowed to do that. No ruling against it. They can't change it now. It's locked into the season, but there's nothing stopping them having this awesome colour scheme. I've always been a fan of this. But on the go. Looking at Gadget who's in class, this will be... I was going to say, will this be their best finish of the season? Not quite. They were third at Monza, so it'll match their season best. It will certainly help them against obviously Mugen and B32, because neither of those cars are here. So they've got 38 at the moment. Adding 15 to that gives them 53. Which will put them ahead of CKR as well, the Brazilian blazing McLaren. I'm gutted that car's not here, because other than the opening round, we had a Matsusaka. That car's been going really, really well. I would have thought here, potential home advantage, they do them pretty well, but alas, that is not the case. But hey ho, that's the nature of things. Again, having racing during the holiday months, some people might criticise it, but you don't just shut down just because it's a popular time to have a holiday. You might stop for a little while, but bearing in mind it was a couple of months from when we last raced at Sebring. We'll always kind of try and make improvements to scheduling, what have you, for season on season. But you can't just completely ignore the summer holidays, I'm afraid. We do publish our calendar at the end of the previous season, so we don't spring it upon our drivers as a complete surprise. Oh, by the way, Christmas Day, you fancy having a time off? No, we're not that bad. Looks like Neto and Aguado are still very close together. The MCM Aston still behind the Azatec Audi. And they're getting blue flagged themselves because they'll be joined by the DPIs. DPIs and LMPs. We are fast approaching the top of another hour. This will be a third of the way through, 33% done, 4 hours down. When we get to the top of the hour, there's our highlights reel from the last hour now beginning to roll, and there was plenty to talk about. We might actually get, as I prophesized earlier, we might actually get to this ad break without having a battle to work around. We will see. It looks like position-wise that is going to be the case. On track position a little bit different, as I say. Neto and Aguado are pretty close together. Otherwise, everyone else is rather in their own strategy and minding their own business at the moment. Is Nabil Aslan closing in on Oldermenger? No. A couple of tenths slower than the burst car this time around. 12.5 seconds separates the second and third LMP cars at this stage. You'll see on the highlights reel that was the DIS car, getting squiggly coming through. Was a Jun Xiao as they're on the back of the Juices car. Wojciech Polesny in control of it by the time. But we have been treated to some fantastic side-by-sides. There's the DIS car doing a great outside manoeuvre on the Aston. And kicking up some dust when he did it. Nicely done. There's that wrong game. GTE three-way sort of fight, because none of them were actually on the same lap. It was interesting to see the two Astons and the Porsche having a small fight amongst themselves. There's the on-track battle I was talking about. Ivan Aguado in the MCM Aston. He is now right with, has been actually fairly close to Eliseo Neto in the Azatec Audi for a while. But the 27 is a GTE, the 585 is a GT3, so there's completely different classes. But this is for 8th overall in the race. So, again, they could perfectly have an argument. As through comes the Unison DPI car, Denis Sashenko coming past. He's been in that car a fair while now, so he may look for... And there's that miraculous slide from the Glam Racing Audi that was just a few pixels away from the ball. Could have struck a match off the wall as he was coming past it. It was that close. So it was very lucky they didn't rearrange the nose of the Audi there. That would have very much, I suspect it would have not made Maria very happy there. And there you go. There's the, that's how close it was. Just almost like a record, the needle on the record player just coming down to start. I'm still blown away on how close he was. And there's Aqib Aslan when he was in control of the LMP car for Sem 9 Axel. So keeping a look on them. And I'm not seeing anybody in the pits at the moment, although I think Eliseo Neto, the 585 car, has indicated to his crew he might be coming in this time. That would certainly free up Ivan Aguado, who might be benefiting from the slipstream here in the MCM Aston. He finds himself about a minute and about 70 seconds behind Wojciech Polesny, who has started to close in a little, but still a pit stop difference between himself and the DIS car. He closed in about 6 tenths last time, no, 8 tenths indeed last time, a 31.2 against a 30.4 between the DIS Porsche and the Deuces Aston. And you can see in the highlights reel, as out came, it's the Sem 9 Axel car. Is it coming out? No, that's Oldermenger coming out. There was Aslan. But Eliseo Neto doesn't look like he's willing to just let the Aston come past him. And still, no, he doesn't come in this time. He actually hugs the inside line. That's probably for the DPI car coming past. The LMP car. So that's Tom Oldermenger that's just gone past. So that'll be why he was hogging the inside line there. He wasn't trying to let the Aston through. As we are head into the next commercial break. The first one of the night we haven't had to avoid a battle about, as Alicia Neto now lets through Aguado. Let's have a word from our commercial sponsor with 4 hours down and 8 to go.
The 2022 Endurance eRacing World Championship brought to you in partnership with Viper Gaming by Patriots, Aztec Sim Sports, Global Flix, Motorvision.tv, Sten Goldman, ESTV, and Film Vault Limited.
Just think about the fun things you do online. Diving into movies you love. Shopping. Enjoying free Wi-Fi with your morning coffee. Wait, who's that guy? Meet the Digital Snooper. It can be your internet service provider peeking at what you do online, or a cyber criminal on a mission to snitch your credit card info, or a hacker at the next table trying to steal your sensitive data. Uh-oh. But don't worry. NordVPN keeps all these snoopers away. It makes your internet activity private, protects you from accessing dangerous websites, and lets you enjoy your favorite content securely, even while away from home. The best part? It's just a click. Yep, internet security is that easy.
You can get NordVPN today at a 60% discount by visiting gtr24h.org/VPN. Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.